G'day guys, thanks for joining us on another video. This one here is for you guys. It's by far our most asked question is, what rigs do you use for fishing? Hundreds, probably thousands of questions. So in this video, I'm gonna run through my 5 favorite rigs, and honestly, they would account for, I would say, 100% of the fish that we catch in our videos already. So if you apply them to your fishing, use them in the right place at the right time, I guarantee you, your catch rate is going to dramatically increase. So will the size of the fish that you catch, and it just makes fishing a lot more fun. I love helping you guys. Some of these rigs I've learnt myself. Some of these rigs have been showed to me by friends. Some of them I've put my own little twist on. So let's just hook in. Make sure you watch to the end, because honestly, this is going to be a good one. And I'd really love your feedback on a couple of these rigs, how I could make them better, because I can't quite figure it out, and maybe you'll show me. You'll see soon anyway, alrighty? So let's start with this one. This one was shown to me a long time ago by an old friend of mine, Luke. And he showed me this rig for trolling, mainly for little black marlin. As I started using this for little black marlin, it 100% does work, but I kept catching Spanish mackerel on it. So it soon became like my black marlin Spanish mackerel rig, and sometimes those critters hang out in the same area. So what you do need is some wire, thin gauged wire. All right, I've got an SL12 here, Gamakatsu SL12. I've got one of these nose cones, one of the long ones, not one of the little short, stumpy, pug-looking ones. A small sinker, I think it's about a 2-ball sinker. And then we've just got a little bit of clear tubing. This bit's probably a little bit too big, but it's all I had, alrighty. So I'm gonna run through this and show you exactly how to, this is to swim garfish, by the way. It's lethal. Like, I mean, you can't get a better gar fishing rig than this one. But I always get snipped behind the hook. I'd say 5 out of 10 times I get snipped behind this hook by Spanish mackerel. I want you guys to help me in the comments and let me know what I can put. I've always thought about twisting some wire, running down to a treble to pin in the tail, or maybe like a mini Hawaiian clip and pin that in the tail. I've tried going up through the bum with the gar. It's a lot of trouble. So this rig here is dynamite. 5 out of 10 times you will hook up really well. And the other 5 times you'll come back, your rod will just get zzz, and you'll come back and it's snipped right behind this bloody hook right here. Alrighty, so I'll just get me line here. I'm sitting on my U-Butte esky here as well. So I've got the gar there next to the camera. All right, for this exercise, we're just gonna run some 80-pound line, alrighty? So first of all, what you wanna do is cut probably about 50 mil of the wire, and I'll show you why. Don't cut it too short, because you can end up trimming it at the end also. We've also got a little crimp here, alrighty? So first of all, you want to feed your crimp. Actually, this is what I always do. With my finger, my first little rib in my finger, I'll usually cut it about that length, and that usually adds a nice little loop onto it. So cut yourself some of the tubing, all right? So first of all, you want to thread your crimp on. Then you want to put your 80-pound through your clear tubing. Then you want to put it down through your hook like so, all right? And so that's gonna pass through the inside. This is where I said the clear tubing might be a little bit big, but it's not too bad actually. Alrighty, then you wanna pull this all around, and you wanna have a decent amount of line pulled through, because you're gonna wanna have to tie your sinker off to this, alrighty? So this is what you're going to be left with. When you feed it through, it's going to look like that. It's going to go through your crimp, through the tubing, and then round through the hook, then back through your crimp, alrighty? Then what you're going to want to do is put your wire inside the crimp also. So your wire will come this way in. Your wire will go in from the opposite end to your tubing, alrighty? Before you crimp it. Then you're going to want to crimp your crimp like this. Crimp that down. All right, so you got that part. Now, with this tag end here, the long tag end, you're going to want to feed your sinker on to that, like so. Alrighty, and you want him right up near the top of the crimp like that. Then what I do is I tie a knot in this, or 2, and then I'll burn it so just like that. Tie a knot there. You can even do another one if you want, but what I'll just, for this exercise, I'll just do one. All right. And then snip off that little bit of excess. So then you're left with this. Alrighty, you got your sinker hanging off the bottom, like so. You got your knot there, so your sinker can't come. And what you can do is just burn this knot a little bit and then push it up against the sinker, so the sinker cannot come off. Alrighty. Now, the nose cone. All right, so your nose cone is going to slide on from the other end of this hook, and that's how she's going to sit, like that. Alrighty. Now, I just usually run like a heavy-duty swivel or something off this other end, but we don't do anything for now. Now let's go get this dirty old bit of gar. But this gar's been in my freezer for way too bloody long. All right, but it's all I had sitting there, so I'm going to use him. I'm going to put a little rag down here so I don't dirty the hell out of it. Get this rig. Now, the way to free up a gar properly, right, is you want to pinch along the spine, and you'll see the meat pop away from the backbone like that. All right, all the way down, all the way up as far as you can, but he's a bit seedy up near the head, this one, but you can see that just pop away from the spine. All right, you want to free him up a fair bit like this when you're out in the boat. Alrighty, now what your SL12 is going to do is inside the gills. You don't want to come through his mouth, you want to come in through the gills. And what you want to do is measure up where your wire is going to push through his bottom lip and his top beak. All right, so that's the bit you need to get right, is where that's going to push through, which is about there. All right, push a little indent into the gar so you can see where you want the hook to come out. You want to feed this SL12 in through his gill, and then you want to come pretty much out wherever you had that mark for that. Alrighty, that's going to sit nicely like that. The hooks come out the bottom of him there. Alrighty, you can see there that there's a lot of gar left. With a marlin, he'll slowly eat that gar, but with a Spanish, man, they just snip behind you. Now you want to bend this wire 90 degrees to the crimp. All right, and what that's going to do is you're going to push that through the bottom lip and then up through the top lip. Alrighty, then this nose cone is going to come down and over the bill, and you can see this part of the cone you want to wrap behind that bit of wire. Alrighty, pull that sinker out of the way, and then you're just going to twist him on like this until it's tight. I like to have that bit facing down, like so. Snap the bill off, or cut the bill off, whichever one you'd want. And that right there is your gar rig. For Spanish and black marlin, it is absolutely dynamite. Now this is a seedy old gar stiff, but when you get a really nice fresh gar, mate, they swim beautiful. You put them in the water and they track beautifully. You control them reasonably quick. Now this sinker will just sit there like this, just pulls him just nicely under the water, about a foot. All right, have him out the back of your bubble wash off your motor and troll it, you know, usually about 6 to 8 knots. And I tell you what, man, that will get smashed by black marlin, Spanish mackerel, wahoo, yellowfin tuna. What I want you guys to leave in the comments for me, is how I can get a better hookup rate by pinning a treble or something in the back here while still having this hook protruding out from there. All right, so you see what I mean. They're very smart fish, the Spanish, especially the big ones. They can snip you straight behind there, and that's what you come back with, is this with the hook. Alrighty, so that's my first rig. That is absolutely lethal. Thanks, Luke, for showing me that a long time ago. And if you guys apply that to your fishing, that is a bloody awesome rig. All right, rig number 2. Alrighty, and this is a Red Emperor coral trout's bottom bashing rig. Some of you may know this one already, some of you won't. As you can see, I'm not real fussy with my leader. This one's just Wilson 80-pound leader, but what I'll do is I won't waste all this, but I'll get maybe 8 or 10 meters of mono, alrighty, as a leader, and I'll wind it on to my braid on my overhead. But I'm just gonna use enough just to do this rig to show you here. First of all, you're gonna want to just do a loop in the bottom of your line, and this is going to be to put the snapper lead on. All right, and most of the time I'll use either a 12 or a 16 ounce snapper lead. So that's your bottom dropper loop right there, okay? Now this, we're just gonna do a single, alrighty? We're not gonna do a double paternoster, we're gonna do a single paternoster and come up around about maybe a meter, all right? Even a bit less, maybe 800. And then we're gonna go another, say, 400 mil, okay? Because you want quite a big loop. You then want to put your two hands together like this and create a loop, okay? I like to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 twists, alrighty? Then I'm going to put that loop back through this loop. And I'm going to hold the loop out like that and pull that tight. Lube it up a little bit once it gets close. And that's your paternoster rig right there, alrighty? So as you can see there, I've got a nice big loop hanging off the side of my paternoster rig. Okay, it's about a meter away from where my sinker will sit. Now, this is how I like to do my hooks. I won't show you exactly how to do every knot or else it'll take too long and you get too bored, but I'll show you the main things. If you want to, you know, Google how to do a paternoster or whatever, then it'll show you. Okay, so what I'll do here is these are mustard 77, 66, 70s, these ones, and they are my favourite hook. The 50s and the 70s, mate, they are frigging awesome. I've just got this nifty little set of pliers and I do everything with them when I want to gang hooks. So I'll just cut through, I open a little tiny bit like that, cut through the eyelet, open a little tiny bit. Okay, I then get a swivel. I put the swivel over one hook and then onto that eyelet. All right. I then crimp it down on that eyelet with me same U-Butte little pliers. All right. Close that eyelet up. Then we've got, put it on another one. All right. Put another one on there. So then you've got a swivel on your top hook. And I like that because then if it's spinning down with a big strip of flesh bait like a red throat or a hussar or whatever, you've got that top one and it can just spin. It's not going to like twist up all your line. Then finally on your bottom one, you just want to get that, close up that eyelet. All right, then you got yourself a set of gangs with all your swivels in between. Now they are 77, 66, 70s. For trout and all that, I'll use 50s. And all you do is whack the 80-pound Shogun swivels in between them. Now what I do is my dropper loop that's off the side, I find the very end, I pinch it so it comes to a bit of a point. I put it through the top swivel like that, pull him halfway down, and I'll tie that on. 1, 2, 3, like that. And then I'll go back through this loop here, lube him up, hold that loop. What that's going to do is I've tied those hooks on, okay? I haven't looped them over because if you can put it through a hook and loop it over, but you're going to get caught on an eyelet sometimes where the eyelet meets the hook and that will cut through your line. What you can do to negate that a little bit if you don't want to tie them on is, like I said, put a swivel on your top hook and you can loop over that swivel and that's going to negate having to tie that knot, alrighty? So each their own how you want to do that one. I then trim this loop off so you haven't got it sitting there and you've got yourself a whack me sinker on. Just pull that through, loop it over the sinker like so, and mate, you've got yourself a bloody primo red emperor rig, trout, snapper, whatever's biting out in the depths as a bottom. This in particular works very well out in the reef in anything from sort of 30 to 120 meters. Like It's awesome, it's deadly. So that there is one of my favorite rigs for Red Emperor especially. Let's move on to the next one. This one's a rig I've used for years, okay? Now this one here there's a few ways of doing it. So we'll go back to how this sort of all began. This one, they call it a poor man's downrigger, okay? So what a poor man's downrigger is something they use for black marlin live baiting. So they'd get a little teardrop sinker, they'll sit over a big school of black marlin or bait and mark the marlin through them. They'll let a fair bit of line out after they've stitched a livey on, maybe 10 meters or so, then they'll rubber band these little sinkers on, and that little sinker you'll count down, say the bait's down 30 meters, you'll sit down that live bait, and that livey's sitting there 10 meters back, just wafting everywhere. So this is a bit of a copy of that, alrighty? So this is designed for current, this rig. So I'm gonna use 40 pound as a guide, alrighty? So what I'll do is I will take, you know, probably 7 meters. Like I'll take a lot of leader. I won't use that much because it's gonna be a massive waste, but I'll show you exactly how I like to do this. So I'll take 7 meters. I will put a 3-way swivel. So if you can see that from up there, 3-way swivel, just a normal one, but heavy gauge because you do catch a lot of big fish like this, all right? And I'll tie him on to my main line that comes from my rod. This is my rod, okay? This is my main line. I'm going to tie him onto there. I like to do this knot where I fold it in half, I put it through, put that round 4 or 5 times. Then I'll come back up through that loop and I'll pull that down tight, all right? That knot there is frigging awesome. Dino showed me that one, and it is by far my best knot. And I'll show you that one later actually because it's a really good knot to use. I've never had it fail. All right, so that's your main line coming down to your 3-way swivel. All right, so to make it a bit quicker, I won't keep doing that knot because I'm not going to use this rig. But then we go on the other side of that swivel and we tie another knot. All right, so that's your main line coming into that side, and out of this side you've got your 7 meters of leader going to your hooks, alrighty? So your hooks are going to be the same rig that I did last time, except I would have the 5-0s with the gangs in between, all right? But we won't do that because we'll do it like this. So 7 meters all the way down to your hook, all right? Tie the hook on exactly like I showed you with that other knot, not like this knot. This is just for speed. Then we're gonna get some more line, that's 80 pound. All right, we're gonna loop, we're gonna get about 400 mil of 80 pound. We're gonna loop it, then we're just gonna tie I go through that circle twice because then it won't slip on you, like that. You can just go through it twice and then, you know, pull apart and it won't pull all the way out. I'll trim up those 2 tag ends and it's got myself a loop, essentially. Rightio, what you want to do is find the point of it. Pinch the point. You want to go through your T-piece on your 3-way swivel and you want to pull that so you got a little dropper hanging off the side of your 3-way swivel. Then you want to go through your sinker like so, and you've got a dropper, alrighty, off your 3-way swivel. Then you've got 7 meters of leader coming off that to your hook, all right? Now what that's gonna do in current, in no current, this is useless. In current, which is when the fish bite, this is dynamite. So what that will do is you're gonna drop down, drop down, drop down, bang. It's gonna anchor on the floor. Sometimes you gotta use a 32-ounce snapper lead, all right, when it's really running. That's gonna anchor off the floor. Then you got huge leader hanging off the end, just wafting nicely 1 meter off the ground like this. The big smart fish, they can't resist it, literally. If they're there and they're hungry, they can't resist it. They're smart, they're too smart for your paternoster with a little hook off the side drifting over them. They're too smart for that. You need to make your bait as real looking as possible. I will use liveys like this, I'll use cuttlefish, I'll use pillies. Mate, if they're hungry, they'll eat anything hanging off the back of that. All right, so that there has honestly accounted for a heap of fish. It's been shown a few times on YouTube and that, but not like that. I like to run a lot longer leader, alrighty? So that there is the poor man's downrigger, and it is an absolute weapon of a rig. All right, guys, so this one here is a deep drop rig, and it's a make yourself. You can really buy some awesome, there's a few guys over the sunny coast that do some really good deep drop rigs. It just depends if you want to buy them or try and make your own. I try and make my own because I'm a tight ass. But what I do, right, is we're going to do this with 100 pound, okay? And you'd pull off however many meters you like to use as a leader. Everyone's different. So 100, 120 is enough for deep dropping, I think, unless you're a weapon and you're pulling up like copious amounts of fish at once. What I do, even before I tie the sinker on, or you can tie the sinker on, it's no problem. You'll do your loop, and you might be using like a big bit of Rio bar or you know, 32-ounce snapper leads. It really just depends on what the current's doing, but I just still drop a loop it like normal. Sometimes you can tie a lighter line from your main line down to your sinker in case you get snagged up, and that will snap off instead of using your big rig, especially if you've got those really good expensive ones. And then I've got these, hopefully that camera is still running, but I've got these, they're inline crimp with a swivel off the side. Okay, I love to use them. And I will just put 3 of them on like so, slide them down. 1, 2, 3, like that. What I'll do is come down here, push that way, and however far apart you want them, alrighty, you're just going to crimp them onto your main line. Be careful not to squeeze the end of your crimp too bad because it can affect your line, alrighty. So that's then going to stop that from sliding anywhere on your line. Might put another one a bit higher up, which is, say here, crimp him on, 1, 2, there, it's number 2. Come up again that far. You can use 3-way swivels and just tie onto them too, but that's still strong as. That's 100 pound, alrighty. So far out, there's not many fish that's gonna break that. So I've got 3 little crimps. And what I do is I just use like the BKK circle hooks, really strong hooks. I will cut 3 droppers off that. Now it's your choice if you want to crimp or tie these on, alrighty? So if you're wanting to crimp, you will find your first one, put your crimp on to suit your 100 pound. You'll go through the T-piece on that. If you really want to get like picky, you can put some of that clear tubing on every single one, which I do sometimes, but I'll pull it about that tight. And then I'll crimp it. Then what I'll do, all right, trim that tag end off that hangs out of your crimp, and then burn that and just give it a little mushroom, and then it can't pull back through your crimp, you know what I mean? Then you want to put another crimp on. I've got my other crimp on there. Go through the hook, back through my crimp, pull whatever size loop you want on there. Crimp your crimp, clip your tag end, mushroom it, alrighty, and it ain't pulling through, like, look. that's plenty strong enough, alrighty. So you got your first just deep dropper straight off that, alright? Now I'm not saying you can go like 400 or 500 meters, then you want a light and you want all sorts of stuff, but that's gonna pull up any fish that needs to be pulled up, like big bar cod, massive pearlies, like it's gonna do the job for all that. Flamies, no problems at all. But the light, they say, does make a huge difference. The other thing that you can do, right, is, let's just snip this one off, all right? To protect your hook a little bit more is you can put a bit of Lumo tube on first, all right? Then you can put your crimp on again, crimp that down, mushroom it obviously, but if you're worried, a little bit of extra protection over this knot where it goes through the hook is you can then slide your Lumo tube over the crimp and over the hook like this, and that's going to protect your hook from, you know, any big barcod's teeth and stuff like that. So that's another option that you can do there. Alrighty, so if you really wanted to go into it, that's probably your best way of doing it, and that's like super strong. All right, and you just do that on all 3. But what I do on one of them, and usually the bottom, so I'll snip this off again. Actually, no, I'll just do it on another one here because I've got a few. On the bottom hook, and we'll just tie this one on instead of going through all that again. Snip that off. Now, for example's sake, we'll just pretend that this is crimped on. On your bottom hook, have a decent hook like this, which is the 7766 in a 7/0, and then a 7-inch plastic off the back of that, alrighty? Rigged up just like a normal plastic. You can even push the plastic space over this bit here, but like a rigged plastic, not with a jig head on it or anything like that, but just with no hook and a plastic over it, because if there's a cod down there and he's eating all your bait or whatever and there's other fish around, you've still got that plastic there, and honestly, they'll smash the plastic as well, alrighty? So that's another way that you can do a rig. But that's a good deep drop rig. It's cheap. Say $40, you can buy all the gear for it and you could make yourself a heap of rigs that are gonna work, okay? So that is the way I like to do my tight ass deep drop rigs. Final rig that I like to do, and this at the moment is accounting for most of the fish that I catch out locally off Stratty, and I'm starting to use it up north. It is dynamite. Honestly, it's such a good rig. It was taught to me by Dean Pro Fisho. Him and his dad, generations have been using this, and he's more than happy for me to share it. So I'm going to share it with you guys. I already have, but a lot of you might not have seen it. What you want is 2 5/0 7766 mustard hooks, alrighty? They are awesome hooks, but I tell you what, I've got a little thing coming up soon, a video I'm doing, which is going to put these fellas to the test with a much cheaper hook, alrighty? But anyway, 2 7766 5/0s, all right? We've got an 80-pound Shogun swivel, and we've got a bit of Lumo tube. All right, so we're gonna do this with 40-pound. I use 40-pound mono. I've got a Daiwa beef stick with a 50 HB Daiwa Saltist. Got that from Hot Tackle. All this gear is available from Hot Tackle, one-stop shop. You boys, friggin' legends. This here, I like to use a sinker that gets to the bottom, not floating through the middle of the ocean. Get it to the bottom, alrighty, but not plummeting to the bottom. You want to reach the bottom while you're drifting. You don't want to be floating in midair. So this here is a 6-ball sinker, and what I'll do is I put the 6-ball sinker on first. I'll use me little one-stop rusty ganging pliers here, but mate, honestly, they work so well. Look at that, cut straight through the join, open them up. You just want to put this one through that one with no swivel. Close the eyelet. Alrighty, you got those two ganged together. After that, you just want to put your swivel onto the top hook. You always want to swivel on your top hook. And then you got your double set of gangs right there, all right? You got your sinker on already. You got your Lumo tube. All right, for this knot, now I'm going to show you how to do it properly. You want to fold it in half, all right? You want to pinch it. You want to give yourself, you know, about maybe 200 mil there. Then you put the pinch through the swivel and you pull about half of it through. Enough that you can still wrap it, the double loop, 2, 3, 4 around. All right, now you want to get this, you want to put it through the loop, that double tag end, and you're going to pull this main line. Then when you get to the M, you're going to pull the tag end like that. Then you're going to be left with a nice little knot on the end of your swivel with a loop and a tag. You want to trim the loop right off short. Then you want to trim the tag off nice and short. You're left with a really good strong knot. I like how it passes through your hook or your swivel twice. So you've got the strength there. You can see it passes through that bit of the swivel twice. And that's what I like about that knot. Then you want to get your Lumo tube, slide him over to protect your knot and your swivel. It can just go that far if you want, or it can go down just past where your swivel is, so it can still turn. You don't want to cover the eyelet of your hook. Alrighty? So it protects your knot from your sinker, and it protects your knot from the fish. and all the fish can do is just smash that. Usually I'll get them on the bottom hook anyway. But that right there is an absolute dynamite fishing rig for most species: pearlies, snapper, cobia, amberjack, anything that's down around the bottom or midsection of the water. That there is absolute dynamite. It's cheap as chips, all right? And I tell you what, man, that is accounting for bulk snapper at the moment. And if you guys use that, you're gonna be in, all righty? So that's it. 5 rigs, my favorite rigs. You guys have been asking for a long time, so I just really been wanting to do a video about all that and show you guys. Honestly, that's what we fish with, guys, those 5 rigs. That's gonna cover you all your species: red emperor, snapper, wahoo, Spanish, black marlin, yellowfin tuna, coral trout, pearlies, like your deep dropping rigs like barcod, flamies, blue-eye trevella, all that sort of stuff. Yeah, so go out there, apply it all, send me photos, leave in the comments how I can improve these rigs, or if you do the same ones, how you do them different. And yeah, that's it, guys. Happy fishing. Thanks heaps for watching. If you like this video, make sure you subscribe, like it, tell your mates, helps the channel grow. It'd be much appreciated. Let me know if you liked this more intuitive style of video also, because I enjoy doing them, I enjoy teaching, and I enjoy learning myself. So cheers, guys. See you on the next video, which is hopefully next week. Massive thanks to the boys at Hot Tackle, mate. They provide all our gear for us. They help us out with rods and everything. The fellas are absolute legends. If you've dealt with them before, you know how good it is. Even if they haven't quite got the lure you're looking for, they'll send you a whole bunch of other stuff. Like, they're just absolute champions. So yeah, cheers, Tinny, Rocky, all the boys down there at Hot Tackle. Thanks, guys. Appreciate you watching. See you next week. I'd like to say a massive thank you to our Patreons. Your support means the absolute world to us, guys, and a massive welcome to our newest Patreon, Ash H. Welcome aboard, legend. Cheers for the support. Also want to say a massive thank you to the legendary companies that sponsor our show. We couldn't do it without you.